Hello, and welcome back to A Couple of Creatives.
Do you think there's anybody who's like listening to the episodes back to back and then they're like, well, I didn't go anywhere. I've just been here the whole time.
Well, we don't know that, so we have to do the intro.
So we always have to say welcome back?
Yeah.
It's kind of become a thing on the podcast, hasn't it?
Well, some people who are late will listen to them back to back, but like our diehard fans who have already listened to all of the past ones and that are getting them every week, then we have to say welcome back.
So
Can't just start talking.
So welcome back, everyone, and welcome back, diehard fans. We appreciate you.
Don't die though.
Don't die, and don't die hard. Make it if you're gonna die easy at least.
Okay. All right. That's a weird note.
We recently launched the Patreon. Thank you to everyone who's been donating and joining the club. We really appreciate it. There's a lot of fun little rewards and things there. But this week we're going to be jumping on a topic that was actually voted upon our bigger group on the Patreon. And
by our Patreon members, our Creative Club members.
So what is the topic of this week?
It's how to get comfortable on camera.
Interesting.
Especially if you're an introvert.
Ooh.
A lot of people ask this, but it's funny because like when I read this topic, I thought it was kind of old news. And I was like, oh, there's lots of videos on that. Like, I don't know. I just thought it's been covered, but maybe people like getting different opinions. That's why.
Yeah. I also appreciate the irony of talking about how to get comfortable on camera on a podcast. So,
yeah, that's true.
That would be fun.
That's true. Yeah, we did mention that too. We're like, that's a bit odd. But I get it. Like, it's still something that Chris and I are working on.
All the time. I mean, even like this year, like I took a break. I talked about this in my first video back of 2020. I was like terrified to start. And like that's just a genuine feeling. Like anytime you pick up the camera, even if you have an idea and you feel confident, it's just a lot of pressure. Because so maybe to start off the conversation, like what is it that makes it uncomfortable to talk to camera? Those things generally are the fact that you have to go through the exercise of filming. So not only do you have like the technical worries, you have your camera, is it in focus? How are the audio levels? How's the exposure?
Which is a job all in itself if you're doing it on your own.
Yeah, because typically in a traditional TV production, you'd have a videographer and they're like, don't worry, I got all this. And then you'd have a producer to tell you what to say. And then you'd have a host. Now you're all of it. Which is like a lot.
So you can't just focus on being present on camera.
Yeah, and then you also need to start worrying about creative and then how you're coming across. And like...
It can throw you off too when you're so worried about all those other things and trying to pay attention to like if you're explaining like whatever topic it is you're talking about in the video. Like if you're explaining things correctly or you're wondering like, sometimes I drift off mid-sentence. I'm like, is the microphone too far away from my mouth? Like, should I change that? Should I adjust it? And then I forget what I'm saying. And
so you get caught up in not even being present while you're filming because you're worried about maybe technical or you're worried about creative or if you're really introspective. So like something I realized about myself, I did this test recently. If anyone wants to do it, it'd be really fun to hear what your responses are. I did this thing called the Enneagram test. So I'm a type 3 personality.
I would recommend that everybody does.
Yeah, everyone should check it out. It's really cool. Lizzie's a type 8.
I was like right between a 3 and an 8.
Yeah. But
after reading 8, I think I'm definitely more 8. But I'm like for sure, I don't know. I'm 3 as well.
So to provide clarity as to why I'm bringing this up.
Nobody cares what number 8.
No, my personality type becomes really self-aware of how I'm coming across and how I'm being perceived and how I'm optically being perceived. Do I come across kind of douchey? Do I come across like I know this? Do I come across like I become too self-aware of how I'm being presented to the world.
You
to
really
the point
want to be
where,
liked.
Yeah, I really want to be liked. And that can actually cause a lot of like paralysis in the way that I create things.
Yeah.
So
like I'm a 3 in the way that I definitely want to be successful and I tie my success a lot to my self-worth.
Yeah.
But I don't think I care as much about being liked.
Yeah. And then the irony to bring this back to the Enneagram, which we recommend that everyone do, because it will really help you understanding how you operate not only in front of a camera, but maybe even just your day-to-day life. One of the things is that it causes me so much anxiety that I'm like, oh, what do I say? Is this enough? Is it too much? Is it? And then I literally destroy myself sometimes when I'm creating.
First of all, having a better understanding of yourself, even if you can't necessarily change that, it's really hard to change certain parts of your personality that are so ingrained in, you.
Yeah. You might not even know.
But it gives you a lot of power in understanding that. And you can make certain adjustments in your life to account for that or to be aware of it and be aware that that's something that could upset other people. And then, to just be a little more cautious of that aspect of your personality. And you don't necessarily have to change it, but it gives you more power. Like you feel more in control when you know more about yourself and empowered.
Yeah. And and if you don't want to change anything, you can actually lean more into the things that make you you. And then that actually can be a really good thing for someone who wants to start a YouTube channel or be more comfortable on camera, because it allows you to just be authentically you.
Yeah.
And I would say a little pro tip is that I think, so Lizzie mentioned earlier on, or I think she might have maybe before the podcast started, she started like a weekly vlog now. And
Yes.
I watched the first episode a couple nights ago, and I loved it because she shot it on like her phone. She shot it on
it's a mix of everything.
Mix of cameras. Yeah. And it's so genuine and authentic. And I know this, I'm not even trying to say this. I'm actually pretty critical around Lizzie. If I don't like something, she knows I don't like it, and I'll tell her. And if I really like something, I'll shower her with affection and love, which sometimes she doesn't even like either.
Makes you uncomfortable.
She makes her
That's
uncomfortable.
That's a different topic.
Yeah, we'll save that for another episode. The thing I loved about that, and what I want you to take away from what I'm telling you here, is that audiences really crave authenticity and being genuine. Mm-hmm. And I think the more that you can work towards that, don't try to watch somebody else and be like, that's how they do it, I want to do it exactly like them. Take the inspiration of them creating to create your own thing. Because this is tough because it's a combination of being comfortable on camera mixed with how do I become successful on YouTube? Is that audiences they're BS raters. I don't know why I can swear on this podcast, their bullshit raters are on super high these days.
Yeah.
And if you try to be anything that you are not actually you, that makes sense. Audiences,
they can sniff that.
They can sniff it right out.
Well, a lot of people have asked us, what do you think makes a person successful on YouTube? What is that thing that, that one aspect of them? What's the secret sauce? And what I realized, and I've said this on a few different podcasts and things, I personally believe that it's not necessarily the information itself that you're sharing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are going through the same topics on YouTube a lot, and we all explain the information a little differently. But the main thing is why someone is going to watch Lizzie Pierce's exposure triangle video as opposed to Chris Howe's exposure triangle video is because maybe they prefer the way that I present the information and they prefer my personality. And the only way the only way I believe you're going to grow on YouTube is to be yourself. And the hardest part of that question is knowing who you are. What is your personality, and making sure that comes out on camera. And it sounds like kind of an airy-fairy question, but it really is hard to think about, who am I? What kind of jokes do I make? What am I like on camera? Because the more YouTube content you watch, you start to think this joke that so-and-so made, people like those kinds of jokes. Yeah. Maybe I should do more of that.
Yep.
And it's hard to not get into that cycle. And a lot of times, I'll find I wanted to put a joke in my video, or I'll want to present information in one way, or I don't know, do something stupid. And you'll be like, oh, you're going to leave that in?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And it's taken a lot of trial and error for me to figure that out. And it's still a process to figure out who I am and making sure that comes across on camera. And you were actually going through a process recently of figuring out who you are, what matters to you. And so do you want to talk about that kind of?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously getting into a much deeper conversation about things.
No, but I think that's important because it dictates the content that you make and how you behave on camera.
Yeah, so the last couple months, in full transparency, I did a couple of therapy sessions just to start just to do it, even if I didn't think. We both do therapy. Yeah, we both do therapy. I kind of stopped it a little bit right now just because I felt the last few I didn't get as much out of, but the first 4 were really, really helpful. And number 1 was learning about my personality type, how I am, and becoming self-aware and more self-aware. But I think because my identity was so wrapped up in my work and what I do on YouTube that I actually even lost a part of myself outside of that, which not having a life outside of YouTube means like if I can't take the inspiration and the excitement that I have from my own personal life and bring that into what I'm doing on YouTube, then my content just like lacks any personality, anything that's fun. So a part of my thing is like I needed to take a break for a bit, so I didn't put as much content out. Learning who I am, especially like I wanted to like slow down the sponsorships and really like find the ones that were like really genuine to me, because I felt like I wasn't being myself all the time. In some of those videos, like there was a version of me that, all right, I'm just saying it. This is a script that I wrote. I'm getting the information done. I'm trying to get the video done as fast as possible. There's a lot of pressure on me right now. And I was like, I would watch these videos back and be like, they're fun, but they like lack excitement. They lack personality. They lack a bit of like being genuine. And like all I wanted to do was just go back to the time when I was like creating videos was fun. And Chris Howe, who you saw on camera, was Chris Howe. Like I want to be less presenter-y, because like how we are right now is like how we are in real life. I'm a little bit more like put together.
The more we do these podcasts, the more you start behaving like yourself.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we recorded the first one, you were still being very like, I'm on camera, Chris Howe.
Yeah.
And now I feel a lot more like we're just having a conversation.
Yeah. I think
and
I
that's
realized
like
that.
your personality is like you are so conscious of people listening to you.
Yeah.
That it takes a lot of effort for you to get that out of your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, for a while, it was even in like real life conversations. I was having
censoring yourself.
Censoring myself in real life conversations. And then I'd like stumble over my words, and then it'd just be this giant circle of like, I'm with a friend, and then I'm trying to like censor some of the things that I'm saying, and then I'm thinking about it too much, and then I'm not even putting sentences together properly, and now I'm overthinking it, and now I just have anxiety, and I'm like,
well, and like think about it a couple years ago when I would say something really outgoing and edgy and like, you know, a Lizzie comment, and then
it would throw me off.
It would make you uncomfortable because you're like, oh, that's probably not something people will like, but now you realize like, oh, that's her personality. People find it funny.
Yeah, no, people like it.
Yeah, and if people don't like it, I don't care, because that's me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not about to censor that. That's my personality. And like, if we don't get along, that's totally cool. Not everybody in the world can like you. And I learned that when I was so young.
Yeah. Whereas like, I think I still tried to have everybody like me, which probably is sourced from like people maybe not liking me and like losing family members when I was younger, this is like a therapy session in itself, like what we're talking about right now.
But all of this stuff feeds into getting comfortable on camera.
No, 100%.
It's not just a matter of, oh, how do I seem comfortable? I think that's when people ask that question, that's what they're looking for. It's like, how do I seem comfortable while I'm presenting all this regurgitated information?
Yeah.
But that's not it.
No.
It's how do you get rid of that wall between, you know, you being you and you on camera and just be. And it's hard, like everyone, if you ask anybody who's on camera right now, like on YouTube or even people on TV, like they're constantly working on that.
Yeah.
And I mean, one thing that really helps is just being on camera more.
Yeah. It's like going to the gym. You have to go through the exercise. I would say like even just to get your like a little exercise, if you want to get anything out of the way and have like one little thing to practice, is just you don't need to put out your content, right? Just start filming yourself. And usually within the first 10 minutes, it's like when you go to the gym and you're like, all right, now I'm on the treadmill. And then 5 minutes in, you're like, oh, okay, cool. I'm in my workout. I'm starting to feel good.
Yeah.
So like just the exercise of starting is so important.
Yeah.
And then from there, like if you don't put pressure on yourself to be like, I have to put this out in the world, then you can practice behind closed doors.
Maybe, but I feel like then the fear's still there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you also need to like, from my opinion is that you need to ease into things. Like you're not going to just jump right into like the competition scene right away. Like
I did that with YouTube though.
Not
like if you watch my first videos, I'm like hella awkward.
Yeah.
But I'm still glad I put them up.
No, for sure. I mean, you went through the exercise, but you also have like a bit of experience of like doing things on stage and
I suppose
being on camera.
The other thing is like Chris and I both like performing, so that's why this is pretty natural. Like we both have music backgrounds. I thought I wanted to be a singer, actor, person.
Yep, same.
And so I like was in musical theater and I did talent shows and like so I actually had an agent for a while. I looked into doing some modeling and things like that. So it's not like I didn't want to be on camera, but was I nervous? Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. It's weird that the moment the button goes doop and it's recording,
like,
you just, I don't know why. It's like a practice of just, you become so self-aware, and then you can deep dive so crazy because then you're gonna be like, oh, 100 people are gonna watch this, or 1,000 people are gonna watch this. At some point, another little like takeaway that is always good is just imagine like you're just talking to a single person, because that's actually what the experience is like for most people when they're watching YouTube content. They're not watching it with like 5 other people like they used to when you go to a movie theater or like 50 people. Most of the time, it's a very personal experience.
Yeah.
So the reality is like, imagine you're just talking to your friend, or imagine you're just talking to one other person. And that little shift in mindset is better than you imagine you talking to people. It's like you're actually just having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah. The other thing is, the other thing that makes being on camera uncomfortable, and in a YouTube world specifically, is you're fully having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
It's very one-sided. So it's also challenging to get over having to like, how do you have a conversation with yourself in a natural way?
Yeah.
Like no one's answering you right then.
No.
It's weird. So yeah, like it's never going to feel 100% natural, I don't think.
No.
It's never going to feel 100% okay because you're not talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that would make it feel okay.
Some days are also better than others. Like there's times where I film and I like love it. And there's other times where I'm like super nervous. Like, so for example, like Peter came over to the office on Friday, and it was the first time that I think I've ever like shot a video with him on my channel that I wasn't like nervous.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that had nothing to do, like Peter and I are like super close friends, and we get along like really, really well outside of like our professional careers.
Yeah.
And it's cool that our professional careers brought us together. But it was the first time, like I was still a little nervous, but not as much. Like I felt like by practicing more and owning and knowing my stuff and not being worried maybe as much as the technical, I could actually be myself on camera and have this like fun rapport with him. And that's taken 3 years. I first started vlogging when I went on like a family trip to the Barbados, and I made like 5 videos, and like I just tried. And like you have to study it too. Like another thing that can be helpful is like watch a lot of other people and get ideas of like what they're doing, maybe that is an exercise of making them feel comfortable. Are they putting the cameras down in certain spots where they can just talk candidly rather than having to have a light set up and a microphone, big microphone? Like sometimes that can be so intimidating once you have all this gear. Like I would even just grab your phone and just start shooting on your phone, because
that's partly why part of the vlog footage is on my phone, because I just wanted to make it super authentic to our life. And in order to do that, it has to fit into our life and be organic.
Yeah.
It has to just be, oh, we're doing this now. I set up a camera and film it. It's not a highly produced vlog.
No.
It's not what you're going to see in the past when I've done like vlogs or, you know, the highly edited ones, B-roll. And yeah, it's not like that at all. It's literally just a recap of our week.
Yeah. And it's awesome.
And
it's so good.
Like,
go check it out if you haven't.
You can't. Thanks, honey. So yeah, you just have to be able to, oh, I want to say this right now, and the camera has to go on.
Yeah.
And it's that in between of like thinking about what you're doing, overthinking it, that you start to, you overdo it. You just do.
You almost talk yourself out of it in a weird
you talk
way.
yourself out of it. Okay, so what I want to say was Sarah's day.
Yeah.
She was even, because I like
she's a vlogger out of Australia.
She's a vlogger out of
amazing.
Australia. She does a lot of like health, like cooking and like workouts and like lifestyle content. And
she just became a mom.
She just became a mom. They have the cutest little family. And so I like watching her videos because it inspires me to eat healthy, because like that's a different topic that I struggle with. But anywho, she was talking about how like she was having a lot of trouble getting, you know, and she's been doing this for years. She's been psyching herself out to film a vlog, and again, because of all the gear, and she felt like she had to set up lighting and she had to do all this stuff. And so she called it out in the vlog. She said, it's been like really hard for me to do this. So I'm just my microphone. It's just my like on-camera mic, and I'm sitting here with my camera. There's no lighting. There's none of this fancy stuff. I just wanted it to be real, and I wanted to like not put any pressure on us having a little like Q&A moment. And I appreciate that, because I also feel that so much. I'm like, I totally understand, because there are times when I've done that.
Yeah.
And then I'll get some comments. They're like, oh, well, what about your audio wasn't as good as like it could have been. I'm like, yeah, I don't disagree with you, but the point was I had to put a video out, and you know what?
And she and she shot it. Like she actually pressed the record button. And to me, something to keep in mind is have you ever just watched a movie and you're like, wow, that movie was shit, but like it was filmed really well, and like the cinematography was great and the audio was great, but you're just like, oh, but like
the acting was terrible.
But the acting was terrible, or the story was BS. So like my whole thing is like what fundamentally makes content good?
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah. Can I just finish my thought real quick? What paranormal activity? Like, okay. What fundamentally makes content good, in my opinion, is personality, good acting, a great storyline. And like, I mean, for example, there was that movie that went out recently that was all like done on the computer. I think it was like Missing or Finding You.
Yeah, I don't remember. I can't remember. Called,
but anyways, it was like all done on a screen recording and shot with like Apple computer, Mac camera, webcams. And I was like, it was so good because the acting and the storyline was amazing. So like another tidbit to take away. I don't know why I'm trying to highlight these things, but like another thing to take away is that don't rely on so much on your gear and all this other stuff, because that's not what makes your content great. It's going to be you. So, and if anything, it might actually intimidate you more and come across too fancy that it becomes less genuine. Like it's like when you watch a commercial on television and it's overly produced and you're like, "Bleh, I hate this."
Well, that's what I want. Like Paranormal Activity is the same thing.
Oh yeah.
It costs like...
Now I understand why you said that.
Yeah, it costs like nothing for them to make.
Yeah.
And it's all like POV.
Yep.
Acting's great. Story's great. Well, I love horror movies, so that's obviously the first example.
Own, but it is a good example.
But it is like, and that's the difference between making a movie and making YouTube content. Chris is opening San Pellegrino.
I know, I was trying to be quiet.
There's no way you're not going to hear that.
Well, it's open. Actually, you know what?
Okay, anyways, I'm going to keep going.
Keep going.
Okay. And this is when everyone stops listening.
Okay, keep going.
So that's the difference between YouTube content and watching a movie, is that everyone goes on YouTube because they want stuff that's... Like, they're looking for information, for sure. They're looking for answers to some of their most asked questions.
But
they're also looking for personality, and they don't care how it's shot. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, there is... Audio is important. Like, there's a certain level that is expected, but it's not like a super high level all the time. No. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter as much. So like, don't be, just because you don't have a great camera, because you don't have the lighting or you don't have all this stuff, like it doesn't mean you shouldn't start making something and being on camera. Start as soon as you can, start getting comfortable. And I guess like we should probably move into talking about actual advice now, even though that was like very vague advice, like figure out who you are and who is you, and this is what
I think
actually
it's
matters.
Fundamental advice. And I think if you're really serious about wanting to be on camera more or get comfortable, you have to do a bit of this like introspective soul searching on who you are and your personality, and be real with yourself. Like put your ego aside for a minute and just be honest with yourself, because if you can work on that stuff, it makes the on-camera exercise a lot easier.
Trial and error too. You have to do it a lot. You'll get better. It'll get easier. You're not going to turn on the camera for the first time and be totally yourself. Like it's just not going to happen. So don't
have these expectations.
Beat yourself up. Yeah, don't have those expectations and don't beat yourself up. Like who cares?
And then my last thing, before we jump into some of these like practical tips, I would say that it's actually really nice when you don't have an audience and you can just kind of practice what you're doing. So like, right now, even if you have 5 people or 10 people that watch your videos, like it's better to have had the chance to practice like alone or with not as many people and eyes looking at you with all this pressure about like, what do I say? What are they going to think? Like it's practice. Practice right now, because you have this chance. If you're listening to this and you don't have like so far an audience or whatever, or maybe it's a slightly smaller audience or whatever it is, I don't want to put it like a number or anything like that on top of it, but give your time and be excited about the chance that you can practice when nobody's looking. And that's actually a really great thing, because it would be horrible to start with 100,000 people and you just don't know what's going on. And I think that would even scare you to wanting to do this in the future even more so. So
it's hard. I was looking for, someone tagged me in an old post of mine yesterday, and I think the story's already gone, so I can't find it. But I had such a good quote that was literally about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just about how, like something about practicing when you're in the dark that like, basically is what you said. It's like, yeah, when you're practicing when no one's watching, it makes you that much better when people are watching.
Yeah. Well, maybe if we find it, we'll post it to the Patreon group.
Yeah. Now it's gone.
Anyways.
I'm sorry, guys.
So Elizabeth.
So tips. Okay. Tips on how to be comfy on camera.
Keep going.
Give yourself lots of time at first.
Yeah. Even if it takes you a week to film a video, just go through the exercise.
And making mistakes on camera isn't a big deal. Like, I do them and I leave them in. They're funny.
Embrace it.
Embrace them. Like,
because we're human.
We're human. And sometimes you get tongue-tied and like, it's cool. Laugh at yourself. That's what's real.
Yeah, humility is like the best.
Over-editing yourself is not real, you know? And also know that it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
You taking a chance, putting an effort to film a YouTube video is something that not a lot of people do because they're scared or they're not comfortable with themselves or they don't want to put themselves out there or all these other reasons. So you taking that step already puts you so much further ahead than all of those other people. And you'll learn something from every experience. Yeah. I can't even count the amount of times I've done something, embarrassed myself, made a mistake, wasted my time, lost money. Yeah. You know, but I learned something from each of those experiences and I came out on the other side with more confidence.
Yeah. I would say like you as a YouTuber, you probably go through like the biggest growth spurt for your personality and who you are because you have this like lens on your life. And all of a sudden you can like look back and reflect on it and see how you are and how you're coming across. And that's really great because you learn so many lessons. There's a really great quote when I was pursuing music. My producer at the time said something to me like, everyone's running the same race and there's all the same hurdles in front of them. And certain people will hit the hurdles and other people will fall down and not want to keep going. And your whole thing is that even though you have the same hurdles and you're going to hit them and fall down, get back up and keep going because not only is it going to make you stronger. This sounds so cheesy. I'm sorry that it is, but like it resonated with me. And like also everyone loves cheese. So let's just put it out there. So I think it's important to remember that not only are you going to have like awkward moments and moments of failure and moments of weakness and all these things like that. Like I go through them. Lizzie's been through them. We still are going to continue to go through them. Like
I've had a rough couple years, but also some of the best years of my life at the same time.
Yeah. Like, no, I mean, I've never, so right now, Lizzie and I have been talking a lot this week about like how happy we are and like how grateful we are for everything. And like,
I was like, yesterday, I was like, I'm living my best life right now.
It's like the first time I've ever felt you say that genuinely.
Yeah. Because it's like this is not what this podcast is about. Maybe that should be a different topic. But we're getting a cat. I've always wanted a pet.
No, there's no Puppet of the Month conversations on this podcast.
Anyone else listen to Crime Junkies? Hey. Okay. So, and like work is going well and we have the office and we have a really nice home and we can travel and
we have great people in our lives.
Great people in our lives. And like, I don't know. I'm just
that
like
all came
stoked.
From YouTube. Yeah. I would say. I think all of it came from YouTube.
You'll feel so much more Okay, anyways, tips. Yeah. We'll rewind. Okay, I have a good one.
Okay, Ace Ventura.
I have a good one. Smile. Smile on camera. Smile when you don't feel like smiling.
I didn't expect for you to say that.
No, first of all, people want to watch happy people. It's okay not to be happy on camera and to make like cynical jokes and be a little self-deprecating sometimes. Yeah. But ultimately, like if you're smiling and having fun, yes, have fun on camera. It should be fun.
It's contagious.
It's contagious. Also, there are statistics that have proven statistics that show that it is proven if you smile when you're not happy, you will trick yourself into feeling the happiness. Yeah. So the more you smile, the happier you will be, not the other way around. A product.
And then you will get the happiness. And it will be Amazon Primed to your house in a nice container of happiness.
Yeah, because in my mind, that's how it works. Yep. It's bottled.
And then you drink it. You're like, now I'm happy, okay?
Well, don't you agree? Like, you always try to be happy and fun on camera. Like, you'll see videos of... Like, if you watch all our outtakes from our YouTube videos, probably, like, we're frowning, and then, like, our eyes light up, and the smile comes on, and we're just like, hey, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and, like, so excited to be here today, and da-da-da. But you feel it. The second you get into it, you're like, I'm stoked to be here. Yeah. And then the second the video's over, you just, like, the frown comes back.
Yeah, and it's weird, because you have this moment in your head where you're like, am I coming across fake? Is this too much?
Is it phony?
And then you, like, the next day you watch the content, you're like, this is great. Yeah. This is amazing. Why did I think this was the poo-poo when I was filming it?
You don't have to fake the excitement, but, like...
No, still be authentic, obviously.
Be you, and if Yeah, but smiling really does help. It'll make you feel more comfortable. It'll make you feel happier. Like, just paste that thing across your face.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what they teach you. And so I took a course in school called broadcast presentation, and it basically teaches you how to be like an on-camera personality, like a news, weather presenter, human. And that was one of the tips, was like, make sure you're smiling and take your time to read what's on screen and like say things this way and whatever. So just smile. Oh, the other thing you'll notice when you're on camera a lot is that you start doing the strangest things with your face. Like, you have all these really weird tics that you never noticed that you had. Like, you touch your hair a lot, you blink a lot, you like do this weird thing with your eyebrows when you talk. Chris has an eyebrow thing.
I have an eyebrow thing. I also have the thing that if someone else is talking, I'll mouth what they're saying. Mm-hmm. My mom does it, so I think I picked that up from her.
But do you know you're doing it?
No, I don't. Maybe it's just a way of like me understanding what you're saying and like internalizing it more. But anyways.
And do you have any other tips?
Yeah. Another one would be like creatives, it's like the barrier of resistance. Essentially, try to make sure that you don't have as many barriers in the way to like start creating. So like if you want to make a video, well, if you really want like high quality sound and you really want like a light, then like have it set up and have an area that you can just like pop in and start shooting.
Yeah, that'll make it easier.
If you don't have that stuff, just use your phone. Like literally right now, this is how quickly, I have my phone in my hand. Lizzie's going to start a timer. Just do the timer in the back of the head. 3, 2, 1, and I don't understand what you're doing. That took 5 seconds to have the camera rolling on my face.
Oh, okay.
So
That's what you're doing.
I have the Apple iPhone.
What?
I pressed the button that says camera on the front, quick access, flip the camera around. It took 5 seconds and there's a camera on me now. And like, that's probably the fastest you can get a camera on you. So if you want to carry like a GoPro, then put it in your front pocket. If you want to carry like a slightly better camera with better quality, take like, let's say it's a Sony RX100. Make sure you have batteries charged because that camera is horrible with battery life, but that's a side note. Make sure you just have like a little holster. Like I know Fun for Louie keeps a little holster on the side of his belt where he can keep his camera so he can always grab it like a gun. He's like a Western cowboy, but for vlogging.
Is he really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So he creates less barriers in front of him to start creating. I think that's important too.
Okay, I have one.
Because then you can capture moments that are like genuine and fun rather than like, hey, do you mind doing that thing again, but make it like how fun it was the first time you did it? Lizzie's giving me the weird eyes.
What was that voice?
It's a fun voice.
Okay. So my tip
is,
okay, so a lot of people feel pressure when they're on camera to say things in one go perfectly.
Yeah.
And so as we just said, like leave the mistakes in, don't worry about the mistakes, it's fine. But just to elaborate a little further on that, like don't put pressure on yourself to say everything perfectly that one time and do 1,000 takes of it, because not only is that gonna make editing for you so annoying, it's not necessary, and I'm sure you probably said it just fine, so leave it alone.
Yeah.
Like give yourself a max of 3 takes maybe per section that you wanna talk about, and then just leave it alone and move on. Also, another tip, just before you go ahead, because I feel like I'm going to forget what I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
You can write a script if that makes you feel more comfortable at first, but an exercise that I like to do for myself is sometimes I'll just write down jot notes, like a point about everything I want to touch on, and I'll just speak freely about it.
Yep.
And then you'll find that maybe you're wondering, like, was that succinct enough? Was that fast enough? Did I say a lot of ums and ahs? Clean it up in editing later. Who really cares? It'll just get you to the point where you feel, comfortable, and not just comfortable, like you'll start to worry less about what you're saying, and you're focusing more on like forming your sentences. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
So maybe start with like not scripting it and not trying to memorize what you're saying. So then you're just doing the exercise of practicing talking on camera, like practicing like what we're doing right now, but on camera, just talking, being yourself. So maybe like don't write a script at first, because I feel like that'll be a crutch for a lot of people is the script and trying to memorize the script, and then you're not being yourself.
Yeah, I have 2 notes to that. Number one, almost always your first take is the best take. It's the most genuine. It's the best one. So a good exercise.
If it felt fine, leave it alone.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't need to redo it unless you feel like you need a safety. But I almost never use my safety takes. Like once I feel like I have it, I'm like, oh, I didn't like how my hair looked. And then I do it again. I'm like, this is stupid. Why am I even filming this? I should just keep the first take.
Yeah.
The second point that I wanted to go off of there is, what did I want to say? I'm like forgetting it now. Oh, talk about what you know. It's so funny. What am I thinking about? Oh, talk about what you know. It's just irony. Anyways, so the best thing is like when I made my first YouTube video, I talked about car photography, and that's something that I had done a lot of. I had shot with like all these car companies. So like when I first got into it, I just spoke about things that I was already familiar with and I knew like inside and out, because I can speak with the most conviction and I can speak genuinely about it. I don't need to look up all these tips and then regurgitate it back to you. Like, I know what I'm talking about, so I'm just going to say it there.
True.
So like rather than making content for people that you feel like, oh, this is what they want to hear and I'll build an audience around it, talk about things that you know. Like if you're really into like carpets and you want to talk about like the difference between machine-made carpets and handmade carpets, build content around that. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm really into carpets right now. That's why I brought that example up.
Okay, I have another one.
Go.
Obviously, when you're on camera, you're very self-conscious about how you look. Like you're thinking a lot about how you're presenting yourself. And what I would encourage people to do is wear something you feel comfortable in. Like don't wear your dressiest shirt or your nicest this so that you can look like really, really good on camera. Be yourself, wear a hoodie if that's what makes you feel the most comfortable. And for women especially, don't feel like you have to put on a full face of makeup to record. Like if you don't wear a lot of makeup every day, don't like be yourself and present yourself the way you are every day. Because when I used to feel pressured to like do my makeup and get ready for videos, like get ready, I just felt like too focused on how I look. Do you know what I mean?
Yep, 100%.
And like almost self-conscious because I was like, this isn't me. I don't get this ready unless I'm going to a wedding. Like this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, your wedding makeup to shoot a YouTube video.
Yeah, no. So I do like, I don't wear foundation on camera. Boys don't care about this. I barely wear foundation at all in my life. And so I think I put on a little bit of concealer, some mascara, some blush so I don't look like a pale ghost. Yeah,
that should be your YouTube handle, pale ghost.
It takes me 10 minutes. Like I'm not doing anything crazy. And then I probably wear a hoodie or a t-shirt like 90% of the time in my videos. You also don't want to be conscious, not conscious. You don't want to be worried about a shirt being like too low cut or something being too tight and being uncomfortable, or, you know, like wear leggings and a comfy t-shirt if that's what you want to wear. Just like be yourself. Don't worry about having to dress up and like look your very, very best. Nobody cares.
Another thing that you're going to start worrying and thinking about. And honestly, it comes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the video is like, these are all signifiers that showcase like being genuine and authentic. And the more that you try to like perfect yourself or edit yourself, like it's actually working against you. So it's like, think about like Casey Neistat's vlogs. I know everyone uses these as an example, but like Casey's vlogs, at least from my perspective and the world's perspective, came across really genuine. He used like low quality cameras or like just enough quality. He just tried to speak candidly. He just was like himself. Sometimes he'd look ragged. Sometimes he'd look great. Like he was just him and filming his day. And obviously that's the style of content that made him famous and popular. But it's a really great example of showing like, you don't need to have everything be perfect for it to like work. You know what I mean? And like even Peter too, like a lot of times Peter would just get on camera, like just start shooting. Like he'd pull his hair back and that would be it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what we hope to get to in the office here. We're going to have our lighting and audio and everything set up every time because it just makes it so much easier to just be natural on camera and to get more done.
I put too much time into it. Like sometimes I'm like, all right, I'll trim the beard down to like number 2 and like I'll make sure my shirt doesn't have like now.
You try to look nicer on camera than I do for sure.
I mean, I don't know. That's part of like who I'm
at this point.
But that also makes me feel good. So like there's two sides to it.
I do
like
a lot
be genuine, but also if you look good, you'll feel good and that can come across genuine too.
Yeah, another tip is because at one point in the last couple of years of being on YouTube, I think I started to like, I'm a girl, okay? I like looking good. And I feel like I wasn't putting as much effort into my appearance. And then I didn't feel like I looked good. And then I think that also affected like a little bit of my self-esteem on camera. So now like every week I have like 1 or 2 appointments that I do to make myself like feel like I look good.
Yeah.
Like today, I'm going to go get my nails done.
Yeah.
You know,
you look great.
It's also Sunday. Thanks, honey. But you know what I mean? Like you should do little things like that to make you feel like taken care of.
Yep.
Get a facial.
I got a haircut yesterday.
Boys get facials if you like. Like it's really good for your skin because you're probably not doing anything and you should at least do that.
Yeah, I'm moisturizing.
Yeah, Chris is moisturizing. He's
cleaning.
hydrating. Get a haircut. You
And
know,
it makes me feel
get
good.
a shave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you feel like it really does improve your confidence. It's a fact. Like your looks aren't the most important thing, but it is
To deny that
first impression, you know, that you make with other people. So it's important to like present yourself well. And
and
feel
also
like you look good.
to deny the fact that Instagram and YouTube are not superficial platforms is also being ignorant to it a bit. So like you don't like I don't want to plant the seed in your head that like it's really important. You have to care about it so much. Like just consider it. Right? And do it so that it feels authentic and genuine to you and that you feel good and that you feel your best, not that you're trying to look your best for someone else. That's the takeaway that I want. But agreed, like Lizzie said, it's your first impression. Like if you're a channel talking about watches and then maybe you're not wearing a suit to match the watch, like people are gonna be like, okay, well, this guy doesn't even like give two shits about his channel. So like, why would I subscribe? So
it depends what your channel's about. Like
100%.
a lot of people who are doing like beauty and lifestyle and fashion content, people are going to be more critical about how you look.
Yep.
Because that's what they're paying attention to. But in our space, for example, people are not looking at that as much.
Yep.
But they do look at it more if you're a girl. I still get some comments like that from men about how I look. And I know that other girls, I'm not going to name names, other girls in the space get similar things because I don't know. Let's not get into that. But yeah, it just happens. So, but it's not the most important thing. What matters is your personality and what you're talking about and that you feel good about yourself. So whatever makes you feel good about yourself on camera, go ahead and do that. Who really gives a shit?
Yeah. If you want to smash a green drink beforehand and that makes you feel good, or
do it.
You want to get yourself a little pour over coffee or a tea, just make it happen. Like
Chris and I also say everything twice to make it cuter, by the way. So we say TT.
Do you think we're going to call the kitten Kit Kit?
No, I've been calling it Luna Baby, and it's not even here yet.
She's obsessed.
I've been saying little Luna Baby bed. I'm sorry, am I nauseating everyone?
Going back to one last little tip is sometimes it's nice to also just build a bit of like a ritual and routine around your filming. Like I think it's important that if you're getting in the headspace, like turn off your phone, like don't get distracted. You know, things like that, or
light a candle.
If I like, I also like right now too is I have an editor, videographer, Lucas. He's been great, and I like shooting with him and having him around. And like sometimes maybe even certain personalities you can bounce ideas off of, and that helps you create and build content so that you don't feel so alone. So maybe there's a friend that you can work with. If you want to build a YouTube channel, maybe you work with somebody else on it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a deeper conversation for another whole episode, but.
Oh, that would be cool.
Bring things into your life in the moment when you're filming that make you happy.
Yeah.
If you want to pet your cat before you film, if you want to eat whatever.
I'm going to be doing every podcast is holding the kitten.
Anyways, I'm just saying like don't put that part of the ritual down, like embrace it and let it be a part of it. Like if Sundays is your day to shoot, then Sundays is your day to shoot. You know what I mean? And like block off the space and know that like, hey, this is my time to like have some fun, to be comfortable on camera, to tie it all together.
Okay, so before we run out of time here, we have some questions. So every podcast episode from now on, we're going to be doing a little segment called A Couple of Cues. So cute. And everyone in our creative club on our Patreon gets to send in questions and we'll answer a couple of them on the podcast in the A Couple of Cues segment. So question number 1 is from Russell K. Harrison.
Hey, Russell.
Hey, Russell. When you first started working together in a business sense, were one of you better than the other at things? Sorry, it says as things. One better at the business side and the other at the creative, or was it pretty equal?
I would say that we both had our strengths and our weaknesses, and they complemented each other really well.
But we both could do everything.
We could both do everything, but Lizzie might have like a better specialty in one area of
also things
business.
We preferred to do. Yeah.
So like I would say yes, we were equally as good at all aspects of the business, but there were things like I really like networking. So like I'll go and talk to people and get
He's
the conversation.
people person.
I'll get the conversation started on, let's say, like a deal and working with a brand and promoting us.
And then I close.
Yeah, and then Lizzie would be part of like the closing and like getting the actual numbers and everything and legit writing rather than me being like, ha ha ha, project for 10 grand, you good for that? And
but
he's
also
like,
I come and like I'll get the details on exactly what they're looking for and I get a good focus on the story and I can help you pitch an idea that like you come up with a lot of creative ideas and then I know, okay, this is what they're looking for. Let's find something in between.
Refine it or know when we can take the risks and things like that.
I can see really well like where the client's coming from.
Yeah.
But you're really good on making them feel comfortable and taken care of and like happy and selling them on like getting pumped on different ideas.
Yeah, or upselling them on like marketing things because like that is something I spent a lot of time on. Whereas like Lizzie's just like an amazing writer and like creative and editor, which like that was like one of her strengths. So I don't know, it was a really great team when we first started. Like we still butt heads on things and we still do it all the time. But you know, I think it's a healthy part of like the rapport back and forth to ultimately make the projects best for whether it's a YouTube client or a project that we're working on for a real life client, a commercial client.
Yeah. Okay, from Jasmin Custeau.
I bet you Russell really wanted some drama to get started there.
Well, we've answered that question before, and like I think people know that obviously we're not like 100% good at all the same things.
I'm the best. I'm joking.
But we can both do everything that the other one can do.
Yeah.
But we both definitely have like strengths in different areas and like we play on that.
Yeah.
And we know that. And you might as well work with that, you know, you'll be stronger that way. And that's why our business grew when we started working together.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so from Jasmin Custeau, how do you find new people you would want to work with? Do numbers count and how so?
Are we talking about like YouTube collaborations?
I think she's talking about YouTube collaborations.
Well,
do numbers count?
Let's do both. Let's talk about how do we find people that we work with and then how do we find people that we want to collaborate with. So to start off on the working side, when
like clients?
Like no, let's say vendors or like people we want to work with, because
or like you mean now that we have social media brands, like who we want to partner with?
No, let's just go back to the business side of it for a second. So like we have a couple of people that we work with who are vendors who are like videographers and people that we like want to look for.
Work for us?
Yeah, work for us. So like I say skill set is definitely something we consider, but I would say I can consider skill set a little less and I pay attention to people who are like good human beings, are passionate, are fair, don't have big egos. And I think I would bring those to the forefront of like that flows into even like the collaborations that I want to do because the people I want to surround myself with are the people I want to build a life with and build a business with and grow together because at the end of the day, nobody wants to work with assholes. And we've done it before. We hired like a lighting grip a long time ago and he was like, he showed up on set. He was such a dick. And I was just like,
you hated him.
I'll never hire you again. He was and I'm like, how? How? I'm like, I don't even care that you're good at your job. Like he did a good job, kind of, whatever. Anyways, I don't know. To me, there's a full part of the package that's the part of your service. So there's like your skill set, but you also have to be likable and great on set and do things in a timely manner. So when we find people, I'll usually like work within our network because we built a good base network. I'll look for recommendations from people I already like and say like, for example, one of our editors, his name's Philip. We were like, hey, we really want to we need an editor because Philip couldn't do the job for one of the projects that we were working on. So he made a recommendation and wouldn't you know it, the guy's just as nice as Philip.
He's great.
Right?
Yeah. So we do, because she's asking how we find people, not like how we choose them.
Yeah.
How we find people.
Okay, sorry.
Well, I know. I'm just trying to make sure we answer her question.
It's a little built on this, though, too.
So normally, referrals is a big one. We'll look towards our network of people we're already working with and we already like. We met a lot of people in school, so we'll use that network.
Yeah.
Usually that works a lot better than putting up an ad somewhere. Yeah. Referrals are the best way to find someone. Because usually like other people will only want to recommend someone if they know they do good work because that reflects on them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of power in a referral. And if you guys want to know how we choose, how we like select our employees, then maybe we'll talk about that in a different episode. because we have hired a few people now, some part-time and like contract and per job and per thingy. So if you want to know about that, everyone who's in our Patreon, let us know. If you haven't joined the Patreon, go join the Patreon. Okay, but how do we find people that we want to work with in terms of like collaborations?
I would also say for me in my channel, I don't think numbers matters as much. Because I think in my head now, I've stopped caring a lot about like the subscriber rates and like what's good for business.
I want a good fit. I want someone who's a good fit for my channel. I would say
like a number. So like if we're just speaking candidly, I think a couple of my last collaborations with people, numbers wise, they were all at the beginning. But like Nick Ibe, who is an amazing like artist and just an amazing person. He made a canvas for me for my like office, and then we ended up like collaborating on a video. And wouldn't you know, that's like one of the most successful videos I put out this year, right? And that was just on my channel. I wanted to work with him because I liked the guy and I thought he was talented and I thought what he was doing was unique and special. So that's the things that I pay attention to. A lot of the times people who might not have a big audience are probably doing some pretty incredible things. So I pay attention to talent, personality, and if it's a good fit for my channel in terms of the topic, right? I also had another guy named Patrick, who's like this awesome, super funny guy on Twitter. I am Patrick T. He was like on one of my videos talking about the iPhone because he's such a specialist in that category. So I would say I haven't really done a collaboration. I'm only starting to chat with people now who have numbers, but I also like them. Like I'm talking with Daniel Schiffer right now. I think we're going to do a YouTube collaboration soon. So like the two of us collaborating is good for both our brands, but like I also just think Daniel's a good person. So like I want to start working with him now. So those are the things I pay attention to in terms of collaborations on YouTube.
It's important to note that you get ahead on YouTube, and this is just the way it works. Like there's a lot of growth you can do on your own. But collaborations really do help because it's a person going, hey, everyone who's watching my content, thank you so much for watching. I have someone else that I think you'll really love. Yep. And you should really go check them out. And I hope you love their content too. And that's what it should mean. It shouldn't just be about like, oh, they have really high numbers, I'm going to do a collab with them. And so
it's great if it works out.
It's great if it works out. And you also have to know that like that's a big way in how that growth happens. And you can't ignore the fact, and there's a lot of people who are just like, oh, this person only grew because they did a video with this person. I'm like, well, they did get a big jump in subscribers that way, but that's also how that person got started and how the person before that got started. And you're just all recommending people. It's recommendations. You know what I mean? And like, I remember when I did a video with Sorel, I had under 20,000 subscribers. And I said, would you want to do a video together when you come? Because like she and I were friends. And she said like, yeah, of course, let's do it. And I made a comment to her saying like, oh, you know, probably people are going to say this. And like, you know, I appreciate you doing this for me because like I'm sure it will help a lot. Yeah. And she was like, but just so you know, she's like, that's how I got started. I had a friend who did a video with me and that's how I got my first push. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I never really thought of that. And so there are other people I've done videos with recently, like Alex Gasaway, who doesn't have a following like as big as mine, but she's doing incredible work. She definitely has the heart in it. She's definitely doing good, and she's someone I want to recommend to people. Yeah. And same thing, like Iz has now blown past my numbers, but at the time when we first met, I think she had like 10,000 or like under 10,000 subscribers, and I was like, everybody is like, why isn't anyone watching her stuff? And then the second they saw her, I wish we could have done a video, but she lives in Washington and we couldn't do it. She exploded.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you find like a musical artist that's like just writing incredible songs. You're like, these songs are amazing. You're naturally just going to become famous because of it.
So screw the numbers.
Screw the numbers and pay attention to passion and talent. It's also ignorant to not look at numbers, but don't search for them. Like if it's a good fit, great.
That just makes you shallow.
But that makes you shallow. You know what I mean? So don't make that a priority.
And a social climber.
Don't do that kind of stuff.
Okay, first steps. I'm so going to be late for my next appointment because it's in 6 minutes. But hey, let's do this last question.
Yeah, I have to also go to the washroom so badly. I'm late for the boat show with my dad.
I know, we're so late. Okay, first steps to building a business as a photographer, videographer. Get your first client, then you're a business. Boom, done.
That's exactly what I did. I didn't have a business. And then the city of Hamilton, which is a government organization, was like, hey, we saw your videos that you're making a new market. Do you want to do a video for us? How much does one cost for a said video?
Yeah.
And then I said, this much. And then my dad's like, you should register a business. And I was like, okay, Dad, that's a good idea. Entrepreneur, Dad.
But yeah, you have to make an example of something in order to be able to sell that and to get your first client and to make money. Because a lot of people aren't going to hire you without an example of that piece of content. So you do have to go out on your own and make a portfolio for nothing at first.
Everything in this industry.
Yes.
Everything.
And with that said, thank you guys so much for listening to today's podcast. And if you liked it, if you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a little comment and a little rating. So appreciate it.
It means so much. You have no idea. To our little podcast and the little audience that is watching, we really appreciate it.
If you want to get more, if you want more of a couple of creatives, please go visit our Patreon. There are 3 tiers, a $2, a $10, and a $25.
Yeah.
All have freaking crazy rewards. Even if you just want this one a little early, that's what you get in the $2 tier. Some of the other ones include presets, and you get a print. One of my prints, you get, I think you get like cell phone backgrounds, and oh my God, there's so many. Yeah. I can't even remember them all.
High quality backgrounds for your computer and your cell phone.
You can choose the topics, like some of them chose today's topic. You can ask us questions in the Couple of Q's segment.
There'll be a lot of like behind the scenes photos and other exclusive content that you're not going to be able to get just from our regular channels.
You get a ringtone. If you like our theme song, you can get our theme song as a ringtone. So yeah, if you just want more of this, and we're literally all of the income from the Patreon right now is going towards our podcast producer and our audio engineer. We just want to make this for you guys so they can get paid. So thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you in the next podcast.
Okay, bye-bye. Here's awkward voices for 10 more seconds.
Okay, we're going to be late, so we have to go.
Okay, bye.